Buckingham Palace says Prince William's godmother has made amends for making racist remarks towards a woman at an event a few weeks ago. In a statement today, the palace says Lady Susan Hussey met face-to-face with Ngozi Fulani, who runs an organization called Sister Space. The palace describes the meeting as, quote, filled with warmth and understanding, and says Lady Susan apologized for both her comments and the distress they caused. The palace goes on to say the royal households will continue their focus on inclusion and diversity with an enhanced program of work which will extend knowledge and training programs, examining what can be learnt and ensuring these reach all members of their communities. Fulani had accused Lady Hussey of touching her hair without asking and of repeatedly asking her where she was really from after she had answered the question. Joining us now for more is Afua Hagan, CTV royal commentator. Thank you so much, Afua. Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Afua, I really want to get your reaction to this in terms of this apology and how it struck you and what your big takeaways were.
Well, it's interesting that this has come out today, sort of a day after the Harry and Meghan documentary. But I do think it's great, actually, that they have managed to make amends, as it were. You know, they said that this meeting was full of warmth and understanding, that Ngozi Fulani accepted Lady Susan Hussey's apology. The statement also goes on to talk about the abuse that Ngozi Fulani has received on social media. She says she has unfairly received the most appalling torrent of abuse on social media and elsewhere, and has accepted this apology and appreciates that no malice was intended. It also goes on to say that Lady Susan has pledged to deepen her awareness of the sensitivities involved and is grateful for the opportunity to learn about more issues in this area. That, I think, is really important, along with the next bit, which is the royal households will continue to focus on inclusion and diversity with an enhanced program of work, which will extend knowledge and training programs, examining what can be learned from Sister Space and ensuring that these reach all members of their communities. And that's really important because Sister Space, the charity that Ngozi Fulani runs, helps women, and particularly Black women, who have been victims of domestic violence. And both herself and that charity have been under the most horrendous attacks on social media. And she actually had to shut down and stop her operations because of this incident. So what I hope is that by them having this conversation, that it draws the line under the incident for both of them, and that Sister Space can continue their work, and also that the royal household can continue their work on diversity and inclusion also.
There's a bit of a technicality I wanted to ask you about here, Afua, because Lady Susan resigned after her encounter with Fulani became public. So how does the palace make sure that Lady Susan makes good on some of these promises and makes meaningful change in terms of increasing her awareness of her personal prejudices or racism?
That's a really good point, actually. You know, she did resign from the position, so I guess it's up to herself and members of her family that can continue to educate her on the sensitivities around this issue. But actually, it's more about those who are left in the royal household and how they are going to take on this issue and how they are going to work on their cultural sensitivities, on how they continue doing the work on diversity and inclusivity in the royal household, whether that is getting more staff who more accurately reflect, you know, the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, or whether that is realizing that drilling down on where someone was from in the way that happened in this situation is not correct, along with touching someone's hair without permission. It's learning all these things. And actually, that's what needs to come out of this moment. It needs to be a learning experience, and it needs to be one that generates more good than negativity. And actually, that's what Ngozi Fulani wanted from the beginning, is that she wanted to have a conversation about it. And I'm glad she's been able to do that in this setting.
And Afua, at the start of our conversation, you picked up on something that is quite interesting, the timing of this release, this statement from Buckingham Palace about what has transpired here, the promises that have been made. Do you think that the British public are going to take this and say, okay, you know, they're going to take it at face value? Or do you think they're also picking up on the fact that this is coming out after the release of the final episodes of Harry and Meghan's documentary?
I think it will be 50-50. I think there will be a section of people who say, oh, isn't this coincidental that just after this documentary has come out, the royal family have decided that this meeting will take place and this statement has gone out, and they want it to be all positive. Remember, they were at the Catherine, the Princess of Wales service for carols last night as well, which will be broadcast over the next couple of days. So they're trying to keep it all very nice and very positive for the royal family. But there will be people who will just say this is just coincidence. Perhaps they wanted to get this done before Christmas, and going into the new year, the royal family can continue on this journey of diversity and inclusivity. I definitely think it will be 50-50, but it was something that I picked up on pretty much straight away.
All right, Afua Hagan, CTV Royal Commentator, thank you so much, as always, for joining us.
Thank you.